What's up, y'all? How we doing? And most importantly, what the hell have you been spinning? It's Whatchu Spinnin' episode 101. Holy shit, how awesome was that 100th episode and that hang that we all had?
Top notch,
That was hella
baby.
fun. That's good.
Hell yeah. Uh there just to recap, we did our 100th episode and then after that we went out to a little, I don't know what you would call that place, like a brewery kind of setup. Uh
Kind of.
yeah, kind of. It's like it's a weird spot, but I liked it. And then after that, we went to a card shop, or we went to a record shop and a card shop. And I just want to let everybody know, Matt, I sent you a text,
Yes.
but I did we did our packs, and then I opened a couple that night after I got back from the drive because I over caffeinated myself, and so that night I was up until like 3. Just because I was like, I gotta get Matt and I home safely, and so I was just shiggity baby, get it. We were fucking singing "Faith No More" and fucking dude, we were singing all
Nice.
sorts of shit. Jake, that was a real, I will say, Matt, I cherish that memory because, that's like something that you and I will share. But Jake,
Yeah.
you missed out on a hell of a drive home.
I bet long drives are always good, especially when there's good tunes.
Oh yeah. Uh but Jake got a sick soccer card pack. Matt, did you get I think you got NFL and NBA and you opened NFL with us, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
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 And then I got an NFL card box. And I had like one pack just sitting there,
Hmm.
just sitting. And I think it was Oregon USC. When Oregon and USC played, my buddy and his dad went and I was staying at their place at the time and they came back and they were 3 sheets. And so I don't know why, like I was talking cards with like one of my other buddies that happened to show up and I was like, all right, I'm fucking fiending. I'm gonna go rip this last pack, right? And the first fucking card I pulled was a Tom Brady Patriots like glimmer. It had like diamonds and shit all over it. I was like, oh my
Oh,
fucking
damn.
God. I was I was like, I don't give a rat's red ass what the rest of this pack is. Like, I got a Tom Brady, and so I immediately just shoop, put it back, put it in the box, tucked it away. I was like, no one's. I was like, I got armed guards in the house. No one's touching my Tom Brady card. So that was fun. But yeah, outside of that, that hang was just top notch, man. Jake, you're a wonderful host. Thank you for having us. Your home is beautiful. Bend is cool. Bend is cool. As much as I hate the roundabouts, it's a cool little spot. I think we should do that again. Maybe like once the pass is good again. I think we should maybe you come to town and then the next one we'll like do a spring or
Mhm.
summer show out there. I really liked that was a lot of fun for me. So I'm more than happy to do that again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure there'll be like good opportunities for shows and stuff that we could probably go to at some
Oh,
point.
oh, absolutely. I think we should that's like kind of what I'm that's I was softballing that idea. I was like, hey, if there's a good show and it happens to be on a podcast weekend, maybe we do a pre-show show, if you will,
Yeah.
and then go to said show.
Mhm.
Um, But I digress. Let's go ahead and talk about some cool stuff. It's December 13th right now. A couple weeks back, Spotify, we're big Spotify dorks. Say what you will about it. I know they don't pay their artists shit, but goddamn is it a good app. Um, they did their Wrapped, and as we do every year, we're going to talk about it a little bit. And we, as always, talked about the order we're going to speak today before we hit record. And the order is going to be me, then Jake, then Matt. And so we're going to hop into it. Uh, let's do let's do songs and then the artists. And then we can do albums because they started tracking that. Shout out to
Yeah.
Spotify for finally tracking albums. So, starting from number 5, my top 5 song. was Eyes of the World by Grateful Dead featuring Branford Marsalis on saxophone. I believe that's from some Coliseum, March of 1990. I think that is what that show is from. Beautiful, beautiful song. It is long as shit, but goddamn, the saxophone with Eyes of the World, one of the Dead's best songs. The saxophone added to it, chef's kiss. Listen to that whole show. He that saxophone player sits in for most of the second set. Then number four, another just a heads up. I only have two artists in my top five songs. Like it's actually kind of insane. Number four for me, another Grateful Dead tune. We've got Fire on the Mountain from Cornell 77. We talked about that a couple episodes
Yeah.
back. Absolute heater. That first guitar solo from Jerry Garcia is one of my dude is that's what got me on the bus, as the Deadheads say. Number three, Minerva by Deftones. I kept wanting to say Grateful Dead. Uh, but Minerva by Deftones off of their self-titled album. We talked about that album a little while back. Seeing that song live was fucking incredible. It was almost an out-of-body experience for me. God bless you all for the songs you sang. Just a great line. Number two, same artist, same album, Bloody Cape. Holy shit, man. Like I said when we covered that album, Bloody Cape is one of the best songs I've ever heard. And then coming in at number one for me, another Deftones track, Be Quiet and Drive, parentheses, Far Away, off of Around the Fur. Um, Probably because
Nice.
I got really into playing that song on guitar. It's just so, those chords are so crazy. Just a lot of, it's like, that song is so it's all if you just listen to an instrumental of it, it borders on like shoegaze, like Mogwai type shit. Just because the chord like if I'll send it to you guys and listen to it, you'll understand what I'm saying. The guitars on it are just so like dissonant. But yeah, those are my top five songs. Deftones and Grateful Dead, no surprise there. We'll go into my artists now. This one I'm really excited about. Last year, this band did not make my top five, even though they had been in my top five the 3 years prior. Floater coming in at number five, which is very fitting. I got really into Sync, was listening to a lot of Angels in the Flesh this year, so no surprise that Floater's on there. So happy to see them back in my top five. Number four, Aphex Twin. Uh, was getting really into Selected Ambient Works 2, and then fuck. I Care Because You Do, I think is the name of the
That's a good
album.
one. Hmm.
With like Alberto Basalm, great stuff. I really want to talk about that album here in a couple weeks. Number three for me, pardon me, no surprise here, Billy motherfucking Woods. Uh,
I've
I
heard it.
mean,
I've heard of him. He's pretty
uh,
good.
yeah, I think we may or may not know something about him. I think that is, I mean, Billy Woods is just at this point my favorite rapper. Um, no one is topping that motherfucker right now or anytime soon. Shout out to him. And then my number two artist, Deftones, and then my number one artist, Grateful Dead. Uh, what a fucking year for music for me personally. Really diving into some stuff, revisiting artists that I hadn't listened to in a while. I got a all five of those artists I gained a new appreciation for, like a new level of appreciation for in 2025. So just very happy with how this rap turned out. I do wish that I had more than two artists in my top five songs, but hey, can you blame a brother? Fucking Deftones and Grateful Dead,
Mm.
great fucking bands. But Jake, why don't you tell us what you got?
Yeah, I'll share my rap. I did pull up last year's for all of us just to kind of look at it.
Ooh.
I think it's kind of funny.
Oh, please
Dorian,
do.
your list, your songs changed. You definitely had a more variety last year. But for artists last year, the same top three. You had number three at Billy Woods, Grateful Dead at two, and Deftones at one. So they have definitely stayed in your rotation.
Yeah.
You had Loathe and Ghost Main last year, so two different ones this year. But I'll get into mine because why not? Um, Mine was also kind of similar to last year's. Um, some different artists, some different genres coming in. For me, my top artist was going in order from one through five. First was Alchemist, second was Clips, third was Billy Woods, fourth was Freddie Gibbs, and my fifth artist was K Tronada. So a good kind of mix of like hip hop, EDM, but mainly primarily hip hop.
That's a
My
very
top song.
Jake. That's a very Jake top five artist. Like
Yep.
when you sent that, I was like, yeah, for sure. As I'm sure you guys did when I sent mine. I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
that's Jake.
That's me. Yeah, those sum up my year of my artist for sure. Absolutely. My top song, "So Be It." That Clips album, "Let God Sort 'Em Out" is fantastic. I think it's rap album of the year for me. Second song was "Freedom 2." It's a over mono song with UK rapper. I forget his name. Ace Trumpets, also off of that Clips album. Uh, my fourth top song of the year was XXX Olympiad from the what album is that? Ross with
Tread.
Friends. Yep. Tread, fantastic album. And my
Yes.
fifth song was Punto y Aparte. It's like a reggaeton song.
What was the
Those are
name?
my
Punta y Aparte?
Punto y Aparte. Yeah. What's his name? It's not Don Omar. It's some other it's like a really popular song. But yeah, that was my list. Comparing it to last year, I think I still have it. I might have lost it, but I know absolutely for a fact Alchemist was still on the list. Billy Woods was still on my list last year. I had over Mono and JPEG Mafia last year also. So a little bit of difference, but kind of still very much hip hop for me. I still that's my bread and butter. That's my jam.
Hell yeah. While you have it up, Jake, do you want to give Matt's last year's real quick?
Ooh, yeah, I'm
Sure.
curious on that
Yeah, I
one.
pulled up Matt's last year. His fifth artist going 5-1. I'm going reverse this time. Was Crosses.
Oh,
Fourth was Harold Budd. Third was Brian Eno. Fantastic. Second was Slift, and then top artist last year was Billy Woods for Matt.
of course.
Fuck yes. That's Matt. Hey, fucking I do love that Crosses was on your top five artists last year.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh and I remember because I did this too. I went back and looked at it after we all sent our ones for this year. Uh and I can't remember off the top of my head what your top five was. So I'm excited for you to reveal that right now, Matt. What you got for me, baby?
You know what? Every time I turn my Spotify on in the morning, it always kind of starts my day out. So a lot of my picks every year are like ambient artists because I kind of ease into my workday that way with calm music and it puts me in a place of, I don't know, a happy place before I start my day. So I'm not surprised by the top albums or the top songs because a lot of them I put on repeat. So top albums, I'll go to one through five. The first one was a Tim Hecker album called Shards, all ambient kind of stuff, calming piano kind of thing. Pretty cool album. I should get it on vinyl. I haven't picked it up yet, but definitely worth listening to. Called Shards by Tim Hecker. And then my second pick was Lucid Dreams by an Asian artist that I'm probably gonna mispronounce the name, but Chihei Hatakeyama, another kind of ambient, wordless, kind of drony, put you in a place of centered calmness for the most part. Number three, an artist that I hadn't really listened to until this last year was Denzel Curry, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future. That album,
Nice.
took a hold of my Spotify for a little bit and I kept that one on repeat for a while. Great artist. Need to follow more of his other albums and dive into that catalog. Number four was The Young Gods, a live album called Data Mirage. Just a fun techno, nothing
It's a good
super
album.
poignant. Yeah, lyrically it's not, anything impressive, but it's just fun. I don't know. It's got a cool vibe to it. And it sounds like it's in a kind of a small, dirty club and it's got that vibe to it. And then number five, no surprise, had to be on my list is Billy Woods and More Mother with the album Brass that we brought up on this podcast. And
Fuck
man,
yeah.
that's just such a good album by all those artists on there. Top songs kind of follow suit to those albums. The first two, one through five, were Tim Hecker songs off that Shards album, Heaven Will Come, and then a morning piano song. Number three, Archaeology from Brass with Billy Woods. That song, man, I thump that song every time it comes on my DJ. I turn it way up. I love that song. And then four and five were off the Young Gods live album, The Data Mirage. Not going to even pronounce those French words because I'll brutalize them. So. we'll leave it at that. Lots of ambient. Billy Woods is on there, no surprise. Um, I'm just ambient until I die. But like you said, Dorian, that's me to a T, so we'll take it.
Hell yeah. Uh, and thank you for reminding me, Matt. I did say that we were going to do albums, so I'll do mine real quick. Going five from one. Number five for me, this is one that was also on yours, Matt. So perfect segue. Melt My Eyes, See Your Future by Denzel Curry was my number five album. Was honestly kind of
Yeah.
surprised.
Mhm.
If I were to put money on it, I would have expected Tread by Ross from Friends because I listened to the fuck out of that album. But now, looking in hindsight, I spun the shit out of that album. So maybe there's something there. But I remember, I think we had like a break leading up to that episode when we were covering that. And that's when I was really into walking. And I was also waking up at fucking 5 a.m. or earlier on the weekends. And so I would just walk 4 miles before 8 a.m. and I would just listen to that album. It's so good.
Hmm.
I, I just, dude, there's just, anytime I think of that album, just words pop in my head. Number four for me, same episode, I believe, as that Denzel Curry album. We've got Music Has the Right to Children by Boards of Canada, which does track. I'm not surprised at all that that's on here. I fucking love that album still. I actually spun that recently. Number three for me, again, like this is just not shocking to anybody that knows me, especially you two. The rest of these. Number three for me was Cornell 5877 by the Grateful Dead. We talked about that a while back. Just an incredible fucking show. I highly encourage anybody to listen to it. The Mama Tried cover by Merle Haggard, that Merle Haggard song that they cover on that album, Chef's Kiss. Also Deal. I just listened to this album like this week, so
Nice.
I've got some
Fresh.
reappreciation for it. The number two, just a fucking heads up, I will be bringing this album up by the end of the year. It's our big boy, Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel. We saw this for the 5 year anniversary. We're going hiding places for number two. And the number one to cap it off, Deftones by Deftones. Um,
Nice.
honestly one of the best albums that came out from 1995 to 2005. And yeah, easily my favorite album of theirs. So there's that. Jake, what you got?
Yeah, I forgot to do mine. I'll do them right now. My top five albums of the year, back to front, 5 to 1. My fifth was Re by Café Tacuba. Surprised me, honestly, but we listened to that a lot on road trips and stuff, so glad that
Incredible
made it
album.
a
Incredible album.
fantastic album. Love it. I wish there was a stat also that tracked how many albums I would spin, because that's definitely one of them.
Oh,
We
dude,
play that a lot.
that's our business. That's how
That
we
should be
get
our
what you spin
business.
into the moon is we install a chip. It's like a record player and it like it's just an attachment that you like put on the needle or some shit. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out.
Hook it up to
I
your
know some
Spotify
nerds.
or Discogs, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Discogs. I know some nerds. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. That was my fifth album, but my fourth was American Football.
Ooh, good.
Really liked that album. Ended up buying it when I went down to California. So it made it on my list. My third was I Told Bessie. Fantastic, elucid project. It made me really kind of fall back in love with him. And
So
his
fucking good.
So good. Definitely give it a listen. Second was Alfredo 2. I really liked it, and I was kind of forcing myself to listen to it more and more, and the more that I listened to it, the more I just got obsessed with it. And then my top album was Let God Sort 'Em Out by Clips. Just
Fuck
so
yeah.
long awaited that I was like waiting on a Clips album from I don't know when we brought up Lord willing. But yeah, I mean, been a fan for a long time, so it was about time, and I definitely listened the fuck out of that album.
Hell yes.
Nice.
Those those 15 out or whatever out, I know there was some overlap,
Mhm.
but all of those albums are insane, whether we've talked about them or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiment, Jake, that you said earlier when you were talking about your initial Wrapped. That Clips album it might just be rap album of the year. Like it's so hard to beat. Um, the only thing that would and it's just not going to get the recognition. But I think Mercy. It's like it's between that and Mercy by Arm& Hammer and The Alchemist. But speaking of The Alchemist, we're not going to touch on this album quite yet. But there is an album that has The Alchemist on it that is going to be brought up on today's scheduled programming for What You Spinnin', which we'll get right into here in just a couple minutes. We're going to go ahead and take a brief break. It's What You Spinnin' episode 101. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. Go ahead and stick around. We're going to get into the good shit, baby. See you in a minute. Anyway, I think it's about goddamn time that we get into today's content for episode 101 of What You Spinnin'. As always, that's Jake, that's Matt, showing you the eyes of the world. That's a reference to the wrapped segment we just did. And I'm Dorian. And guess what? I get to go first today. This is one that I kind of fell ass backwards into this album. I completely stumbled upon it, and as soon as I did and saw the two artists that this album is, it blew my goddamn mind, and I've been obsessed ever since. And that album, I think this came out in 2023. Okay, I was about to say, I was like, I think it's 2023. It's Fred again and Brian Eno, Secret Life. Uh, as the kids say, hella ambient. Uh, Very good, very good. You really see both of these artists kind of show their stuff on here. I'm a big fan of this album. I've got a lot to say about it, but I'll toss it up to y'all. What do you guys think?
I'll start off. I hadn't listened to anything by Fred again before, but of course, I'm obsessed with Brian Eno, so hearing a collaboration between these two artists was a real treat. And as quiet and soft as this album is, it's done really well, production wise. And even when we do hear Fred again sing, I think it's on Enough is when he's using his vocal a little bit more. He's got a decent voice, but the whole album tracks out, and I don't know, it has a definitely like slow, somber feel to it as it opens up with I Saw You and then, Secret, a little bit more sad, ambient, but all in all, man, this is just a really unique album. I like how some of the songs are a little bit shorter, minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's the perfect ambient setup. These two guys doing their thing with Brian, maybe a little bit more in the background. I know that they've worked together a little bit before, back in the mid 2000s on other projects together. So it's like they kind of mentored each other in that sense. And you can definitely feel the chemistry on this album. It's really well done. So good pick. I'm glad you picked it. I remember when it came out, I did listen to it quite a few times and almost picked it up one day and never did, but it's definitely on my list now. So glad we brought it up.
Hell yeah. Shout out to my little sister Bailey. She gave me a $30 gift certificate to House of Records. And I went there with my buddy Dylan shortly after my birthday. And as we all know, House of Records is my second favorite record store in town. So, and the selection wasn't anything, nothing was really blowing my hair back that day. But then I just happened to sift through like that new, you know how they kind of have those hodgepodge sections where you'll find a Madonna record and then a Metallica album, like those weird, you know?
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of garbage basically in this section that I was like, oh, this is $3, whatever. And then there was this sealed. And I was like, it was like kind of at the height of me listening to this. And I saw it at House of Records for $30. And I said, here's the gift certificate. Give me the record. Thank you. And I'll leave. Uh, so yeah, fuck yeah, man. I'm glad you liked it. Jake, what do you got for me, baby?
Nice. I love that. Um, yeah, I like this album. I remember also when it first released, because I was really big into Fred again at the time, and still now I kind of am still, but it was not at all what I was expecting. And I had known of Brian Eno, and I knew that like, okay, if they're doing an album together, are they going to lean more towards Eno's side? Are they going to lean more towards Fred again? Because Fred again does like, like dance music, like EDM. But I'm glad that they did more like an ambient project, because it feels a lot more natural in a way. Like it doesn't feel forced. It feels a lot more. easy listening and more accessible. Because like the EDM stuff, some of it is really good, some of it is also really intense. So this, for the first couple of listens when it released, I kind of struggled to get through it, to be completely fairly honest with you. But then the more I delved into ambient music, I would come back to this and specifically come back to Secret. Really liked Secret. Really liked all the synths and all the different like sound effects that they both use in this. Because Fred again, he kind of more is known for like his decks and like his drum beats, but Brian is more so with the actual sound of how does it sound? What effect does it have on, the windows? What effect does that have on glass? Like I was listening to a interview that Fred was doing, and he's mentioned that like Brian Eno, he was like the way that he was thinking about music, yes, was how it was sounding, but also how was it like impacting stuff around? Like how was it bouncing off of the mirrors? How was it bouncing off of, what? And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like it was
Holy
like
shit.
a different, because you get different soundscapes, different um ways that they produce and stuff because they're both ultimately producers. So it's cool that kind of seeing that take on his end, and I think you can hear a lot of that. And him being a mentor to him, I mean, that's insane. Saying that you have Brian Eno as your mentor on this album, but it goes both ways, and I think you hear that through this album. So fantastic pick.
Hell yeah. No, you bring up a good, that's crazy that Fred was talking about that in an interview because you think about, you hear people being like, "Oh, how does it sound in the car?" when they're talking about producing rap beats. Like I've seen
Hmm.
a litany of reels and, Facebook videos of people being like, "Oh, me producing the beat, me listening to it in the car and it's just so
Yeah.
you hear these kind of tropes with hip hop producing and EDM production, but the fact that Brian Eno is so in tune with what he does and like he's just a master of the craft of ambient music. I mean, we've talked about him ad nauseum on this podcast. I mean, this is my third album that I have that Brian Eno has a hand in, and
Hmm.
I certainly plan to get more. Um, and I mean, the first album that we brought up by Brian Eno is not an ambient album. Before and After Science is not an ambient album at all. Black Water, that still like it's crazy. So his kind of career arc is really fucking crazy to look at. But and so it's like it even with that, it's still crazy to me that that's how he thinks about ambient music. Like how is this reflecting, like how is this impacting the space that it's being played in? Holy shit,
Yeah.
dude. I Please, if you can remember off the top of your head, please send that interview to me of Fred because I love Fred again. You're exactly correct, especially the stuff that he's been putting out lately. Like I sent you a song, Jake, that I was like, I don't know if you've heard this, but please listen to the full song because it's an insane house track. Matt, I'll send that in the chat for you so that way
Yeah.
you can listen to a Fred again song and then be like, how the fuck did he make this album? Because that's essentially how I approached it. And so, with that being said, so I heard this or I saw this album and I was like, Fred again and Brian Eno, what the fuck? I was like, no way. No way. Because I was on a Fred again streak, I was listening, that ambient vibe playlist that I've been talking about for a long time. I still listen to that almost daily. And, there's the Eno tracks in there. And so I saw this, I was like, what the fuck? And I immediately started looking into it. I immediately researched it. I was like, why, how the hell did these two find each other? They used to be neighbors back in the day, these two. And Fred again was part of like a youth chorus that Brian Eno like helped direct and like used on some of his work and everything. And then the fact that that was a thing, and then they were neighbors. Brian Eno started mentoring him, but then it started becoming uh the master becomes the student because he was like, "Hey Fred, you're really good with these," like you said, Jake. Hey Fred, you're really good with these drum beats and all of this shit, and these weird vocal chops that you do, like on "Come On" off of this album. so you show me some of your shit. Also, I'll show you how to really fill a space with minimalist sound. And so that's where this album kind of came from. And that fact blew my mind. I was like, holy shit. These two masters of their craft just lived down the street from each other and,
Wow.
kind of just started dogpiling mentorship. And you get an album like this. And yeah, you do see both of these guys kind of shine in their respective fields. You get the vocals, like you said, Matt, on Enough. Fred's got a beautiful voice, in my opinion, for an ambient album, and I'm really happy that, he kind of showcased that on here. Enough and Come On, I think those are very Fred heavy tracks. But then you get to a song like Pause, and you're like, oh, this could have been on music for films, where there's like maybe seven sounds that occur over 4 minutes. It's just like
Mm.
boom, and then 2 minutes later, boom. I'm like, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is Brian doing his thing. um but yeah, I mean, holy shit, these two together. I think it may, like, you listen to this album, you're like, oh, makes sense, Brian Eno's on it. But then if you're a Fred again fan and you listen to this, you're like, really impressed that he's able to do something like this. And I think you can you feel the collaboration come through in the music, and that's just remarkable in my opinion. I think this is a really, really good album. If you're into ambient music, I think this will really fit into a play. Like, I think I've added like 4 or 5 songs off of this to my ambient playlist. And then also, if you're a fan of either of these guys, it's going to be a treat to you. Like, and that's coming from someone who's a big fan of both. So like I said, I was so pleased with this. So I'm really glad that you liked it, that y'all liked it too.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear Fred again on his own. Like you guys are saying, I've never listened to him as a single artist. So if he's more dance techno heavy, it's really cool that him and Brian Eno were able to sit down and collab and essentially create a different sound for him. And this album in general, it's really well done and showcases what two artists can do when they put their minds together, coming from maybe different directions, but in the end coming to the same place, which is an amazing album. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the I do also like the like lyrics and lyrical content of it. I don't know, like I was driving to work one day and like on my way to work, I was like getting kind of emotional. Like it was, I don't know what it was about it. I don't know if it was just the time that I was going through at the moment, but um it like evoked an emotion out of me and it was like kind of surprising because I wasn't expecting it. And yeah, it made me feel kind of vulnerable. It kind of made me open up to it. Songs like Come On and songs like Enough, like they kind of have that like it's like motivating, it's like kind of speaking to you and yeah, it just felt like inspiring, like for some reason. It felt really good. Follow, I love that song specifically just for the synths, like the cool effects that are on those synths. I don't know how you recreate that. I don't know how you make that sound, but it's really cool. Go check it out. So yeah, it's really impressive album. It really impressed me. I, you know, wish I would have gave it more thought initially when it came out, but right now, these last couple of weeks, I've just been listening to this when I'm cooking, listening to it on my way to work, in the morning sometimes when I'm waking up on my way to the gym, I'll listen to it. So it's kind of been all over um, my life recently, and definitely one that I'll be checking out because I don't own any Fred again albums. If I would, this would probably be one of them just because it is a lot more calm and it would fit my collection a lot more. If you do like Fred again, and he does more like upbeat, like gym, I would say call it like gym music. So like, it's EDM, it's house, it's dance. Definitely all his actual life albums, the 2 and 3 are really good. One's really good. And USB that just came out. I was listening to that yesterday at the gym. Super good. There's a Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia track on there that is a banger. I'll send it to you guys. But for this album specifically, I love that Fred again and Brian Eno come together and just make a masterpiece of an album.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a wild. It's truly a soundscape, and I agree with you. That's like as far as the collection goes, like if you're gonna own a Freddie album, this one is the one to get because, as we've talked about on here, listening to records, and I apologize ahead of time for sounding like a pompous asshole about records, but I'm gonna lean into it real hard here. It is a ritual, like that's why we do the podcast, right? And that's why we collect records is for the purpose of listening to them. And if you're listening to a record, you're buying into that process of flipping it and all of that stuff. It's an intimate way to listen to music. And this album is that. It's intimate. It makes you vulnerable. And you're exactly right, Jake. This album evokes such emotion in you. There's vocal samples of a guy literally sobbing and saying, I've given everything and they've given me nothing, and like sobbing, and it makes you want to cry. Like I spun this album and listened to it like in the dark with just this little ribbon light that you see behind me, and dude, when that vocal sample came on, I literally was like welling up. It's a powerful album. And even the songs, like I said, pause, like where it's just it's very minimalistic. That's the reason we listen to ambient music, right? Is to have somebody take minimalist shit and evoke an emotion out of you, because that's why people seek music, is to get an emotion. They're listening to it to go to the gym, or listening to it to start their day, or to get through their day. And to have an album like this where you've got a guy who is literally at the peak of his career right now, making insane dance and house music being used all over in TikTok and Reels and all of this stuff. And so you have this guy, like I said, who's at the peak of his career, and even in 2023, like Fred again's been at the peak of his career for like 4 years. Like, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. But to have a hot shot kid like Fred again team up with an absolute, for lack of a better term, a fucking fossil like Brian Eno, who's the godfather of ambient music, and to have them crank, because that is a recipe for disaster, right? You on paper, you look at that, you're like, this is going to be utter dog shit. But then you listen to it and you're like, hold the fuck on. This is like, you want to scream it from the mountaintops how good this album is. At least I do. So I'm very glad that you guys appreciate it as much as I do. Um, any final thoughts before we dive into top threes? No? Hell
I'm
yeah.
good.
Cool. Well, I'll kick it off. We're going 2023's Secret Life by Fred again and Brian Eno. My honorable mention is Secret. We talked about that song. I love its placement in the album. It's fantastic. Number three, it's the starting track. I Saw You. It's a good little lead in, It's like it hooks you, and then you're not expecting the rest of the album. Number two, Enough. Man, the amount of times I've almost cried to that song alone. And then number one, Come On. The vocal chop, that like you can just
Mhm.
I just see them anytime I listen to that song, I just imagine them in the studio making that, and it's a treat. So yeah, number one is Come On for me.
Nice. I guess I'll add something before I give my list. I was just looking on YouTube for if he did any live performances of this. He had, I think, a year or two ago. I don't remember when. He did Fertigan did a performance at USC, the Coliseum, uh, with like 100 people, and they get like just like a small like section, just fill it with 100 people, and he's just like playing this album. Fucking insane. It That would be a special treat to be one of those people that got to see that. Um, Number three for me, or sorry, honorable mention for me, Follow. I told you guys that synth on it is heavenly. It feels like I'm levitating when I listen to it. Number three, Chest. Number two, Secret. Love that track. Love the lyrics on it. And my favorite track was Enough, just because it's really emotional, really invigorating. It's kind of inspiring. It's definitely my track for the album.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Dorian, I want to thank you for saying the godfather of ambient music and bringing Brian Eno to that conversation. Just, love that. This is a great album. Really enjoyed it. Definitely going to be looking to pick it up. My honorable mention and number three kind of blend together with the way the album starts off. Honorable mention is going to be I Saw You, and then number three would be Secret. Those two songs together, especially Secret, like we've all been saying, this is a very emotional album. And some of these songs you want to curl up into the fetal position and, cry your eyes out. But at the same time, when music does that to you, it's powerful. So for that reason, I love Secret and the way it, makes me feel. Number two, Trying. I really like that song. And I think we can all agree as far as number ones go, Enough was my favorite track. Being able to hear Fred again sing and then have it, behind all that has been great. So really good album. Thanks for bringing it up. I enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. I think my favorite part about this album is that it is, you hear a collab album, much like the one we're about to talk about, and you can kind of identify or pinpoint, oh, this is a so and so track in its entirety, or, there's very rare instances of that on this album because it is so collaborative, and like Brian Eno's stench is all over this album, and so is Fred again. Like, even when, on songs like Enough, where Fred is kind of taking the forefront with that vocal stuff, the background to it is it just envelops you in this wave of sound, and that's Brian Eno, baby. That's music for films, music for airports, Another Green World. Like, this is it's a greatest hits for Brian Eno without being a greatest hits, because I, as the three of us, we've listened to a lot of Eno on this pod and in our own aspect, and Matt, I'm sure you can agree.
Hmm.
This is like Brian Eno pulling out all the stops, and especially as someone, and it's just another great collab to add to his already insane list of collaborations. You've got him with that Russian, what's that, like Russian orchestra or whatever, and then him with David Byrne and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And then, oh, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna fuck around and make an album with the biggest EDM producer in the game right now. Oh, and by the way, it's gonna be ambient as fuck, homie. So shout out Brian Eno, shout out Fred again. That was 2023's Secret Life by the two of them, which was my pick for this wonderful episode 101 of Whatchu Spinnin'. Go ahead and stick around for us. We're going to take a brief break, and then we'll be right back to talk about my main man, Jake's pick. You're also going to be familiar with some of the artists on that, and let me tell you, it's a fucking banger. So go ahead and stick around. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. We'll see you in a couple. Peace. All right. We just talked about an amazing ambient album, but it's time to turn it up a notch. And just a little precursor, I'm definitely going to be turning it up a notch for my next pick for next ep, so stay tuned for that. But we love these artists on this album. I'm super stoked to talk about it. This actually, I was not expecting this to be brought up, Jake. So shout out to you for a curveball. What is said curveball? What you got for me, baby?
Yes. This is 2018 Fetti. It's a collab album. Freddie Gibbs, Currency, and Alchemist. Alchemist producing, Freddie Gibbs and Andretti rapping on it. Kind of cool backstory. I did pick this up at Record Store Day. That little sticker on there tells you that it was a Record Store Day release on 2018, back when Record Store Day was actually cool. Nowadays, Record Store Day kind
Fucking
of sucks.
facts. Facts. Preach.
The Record Store Day things nowadays, they suck. Like they're not really good releases. Maybe that's just a hot take. I don't know. But yeah, I picked this up.
It's not.
Yeah, I picked this up at House of Records. I was first in line. You had to be. There was, I don't know how many pressings of this, like 2000, maybe. I don't know. Um, but definitely made my money's worth on it if I ever sell it. Yeah, collaboration album between Freddie Gibbs, Alchemist, and Currency. We haven't brought up Currency, Spitta, as his name goes. Um, Really big fan of both. Obviously, big fan of Alchemist production. I thought this was a cool kind of one throwback because it's getting a little older of an album, but also newer face on this. Currency and Alchemist have done albums before this. And this was the first time that Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs linked up, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, kind of a fun album, insane beats. Yeah, what are your guys' takes on it?
I mean, this is once again Freddie and top-notch producer teaming up. We've talked a lot about Freddie Gibbs and Madlib. I've got my favorite album of theirs behind me. But we talked a lot about Alchemist last week, and last episode, and I'm more than happy to continue. If you want to talk about an album full of quote unquote Alchemist type beats, all of the instrumentals and beats off of this album are so Alchemist that it's not even fucking funny. Like you listen to these, there's like Now and Later Gators. That song, like if you were to be like, "Hey, have you ever heard of Alchemist? This is what he sounds like," and you just throw on that song. And it's yeah, the guitars, the "It's all right, baby." Because Alchemist is known for that. He's known for these great vocal samples and looping them and chopping them, but then also these really just earworm guitar parts. Um, and I don't know a lot about The Alchemist, but and so I think from my understanding, he's just a sample hound. Like he just knows songs and knows what to sample. But a song like Now and Later Gators, I kind of lose that illusion. And I'm like, maybe he's a shredder. Maybe the Alchemist is actually sick with it on a guitar, which would be sick. But no, this entire album, it's definitely Alchemist top to bottom. It's Freddie Gibbs and Currency top to bottom also. Um, Alchemist has worked, we've talked a lot about him and the different artists that he's worked with. Mainly we just talked about him working with Arm and Hammer, and Billy Woods and Elucid are crazy beasts on their own. But to make an album with the likes of Currency and Freddie Gibbs that also, we just talked about an album that evokes emotion, but to name the song again, Now and Later Gators, that sample and those raps like that, like that's my favorite thing about Freddie Gibbs is he's got this real bouncy flow over such a like kind of a somber beat like that. It's like, oh my God. Like you listen to this album and you literally stank face the whole time. And I'm more familiar with Currency's work with Wiz Khalifa, to be quite honest with you, from my crazy stoner days taking dabs off of titanium nails. I know Matt's head just exploded. It was 2017, dog. We were doing crazy shit. I'm sure the dabs were not clean. We were also doing Reclaim. It was crazy.
Oh
Um,
God.
hey, we were broke. We were seven people living in a three-bedroom apartment. Okay, lay off me. But anyway, I digress. So to hear, for me, that was a treat, right? To hear Currency out of that stoner rap context. So we went from stoner rap to coke rap because that's what I always say. I'm like, Freddie Gibbs is my favorite cocaine rapper. Uh, and yeah, I just think Currency and Freddie Gibbs on their own, they could have rapped over anybody's beats and it would have been a fantastic album. But the fact that they got Alchemist to produce this whole thing is insanity. Like they just go together like PB and J. Insert trope here of like they go together like it's just this album is just a complete package from top to bottom, and it threw me off every time it ended. The podcast playlist for this episode was super short. It was like less than 2 hours long, and every time this album would end I was bummed because I was like, I want more of these three together. So I love this. Great pick, man.
Yeah, you guys have both kind of summed up the overall feel of this album, and these artists are just amazing doing their thing together. I've always liked Freddie Gibbs since we brought him up on the podcast. I enjoy his flows, and like you said, Dorian, his freestyle from the get-go, like off of the song "Blow," he just shreds it right away. Songs like Willie Lloyd, that one really stood out to me, and I feel like that song just thumps, and like I kept going back to that one over and over again. And then you got shorter tracks like New Things that seems like it's barely a couple minutes long, but everybody's doing their thing, and then Freddie at the end, god damn it, doing his thing. It just flows really well, and I love the way he spits his lyrics and his bars are unique, and he's just he's got his thing going. He's very unique. Like nobody sounds like Freddie Gibbs, in my opinion. He's just fun to listen to, and Currency as well. And then Alchemist doing his thing behind the stage, showing off what he does. Just a fun album all around.
I'm so happy that you mentioned the God damn it because
Yeah.
I don't think anybody says God damn it like Freddie Gibbs. God damn it. It's
Yeah.
just so
Like a
it's
G and a
so
D. Yeah,
iconic.
G and
I
D.
love it.
There's no
You know
O.
what I'm boo, God damn
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's perfectly summed up, Matt. Yeah, it's a fun album. It's a fun album. I guess apparently I was reading the Wikipedia page about this and I guess Currency, he did an Instagram post like, "Hey, Freddie Gibbs, my part is done. It's produced by Alchemist." And then Freddie Gibbs responded in the most Freddie Gibbs way and just trolled him. And he was like, "Send the beat. I'm near the booth, you know." I guess Freddie Gibbs finished his part in 2 days, and then they just waited for a while to release it. And then when they finally did, it just kind of blew everyone's hair back. Um, but yeah, you have songs like No Window Tints, where it really kind of shows off Currency side of rapping because that's just his track. And then songs like Now and Later Gators, that's a Freddie Gibbs track. So it's cool that they also have their own moment to shine, but together, I think they complement each other really well. Freddie Gibbs with his raw, gritty, bouncy flow, and then Currency with kind of his more laid back, yeah, stoner-esque vibes and his lyrics with it. But I think it was a perfect duo for this album. You couldn't write a better album having Alchemist on here. If you do like Freddie Gibbs, his work, obviously we've talked about his albums before on this podcast multiple episodes ago. Um, Currency, him and Alchemist did an album, Covert Coup, in 2010. Would definitely recommend it. It's fantastic. There's pretty good features on there, like Prodigy. I think Freddie Gibbs is on there also. But yeah, this is solid album front to back. I'm glad that one, I own it because I think it's really cool. It's like a piece of history. Um, and what that we were able to bring it up and talk about it. It is a shorter album. It's only 9 songs. It's barely 20, it's not even 25 minutes long. But it's like all killer, no filler, in my opinion. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's heaters back to front, front to back. Like you said, they have their own songs on here for sure. But even when they collab and they're both on the same kind of trading bars, whatever, it's just crazy, the chemistry between these two. And I love that backstory that it was like, hey, motherfucker, I'm right next to the booth. Send me if you're really about it, send me your part of the album. I'll finish mine
Mhm.
in 2 days, which is just impressive, especially for the finished product. Yeah, I mean, and then you get songs like New Things and Tapatio, and Matt, you mentioned Willie Lloyd. Like, yeah, a lot of these songs just bump. It was really, really difficult for me to pick an honorable mention, let alone a top fucking three. I mean, good Lord. This might be, I think, out of the Freddie Gibbs collabs or albums that we've talked about on this podcast, I think this might be my favorite just because of how unique, if you listen to these two artists, if you listen to Currency and you listen to Freddie Gibbs, they are just different enough that this collab happening would kind of make you turn your head and go, wait a minute. But the fact that it works so well, it's like a good steak with a nice red wine or a glass of brandy, like it's just such a beautiful pairing. And then to have that over just a rock solid foundation of an Alchemist beat driven album, how could you fail? And the fact that
Mhm.
you listen to this and 2018 is 7 years ago. It feels like an eon. But the you listen to this and it sounds like something that could have come out, today, yesterday, or even tomorrow. Like it's just still
Mhm.
so it's a timeless and to say a timeless album came out in 2018 is fucking crazy, but it's factual, like we're going to listen to this album in 2028 when, the 10-year anniversary rolls around. We're going to be like, holy shit, like these guys need to tour. They need to do another album. I haven't listened to Covert Coop, but I'm sure that we would say the same thing about it. And yeah, I would happily listen to another collab between these three guys. So yeah, shout out for bringing this up. I think it's a great. I feel like the way we've brought up Freddie Gibbs' project on this podcast has been very methodical, very good timeline, and I think this is a episode 101. I think this is a great pick. So thank you for bringing it up, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get into our favorite tracks of the album.
Please.
Um, for me, honorable mention, it's hard because there's only 9 songs, but honorable mention for me, Location Remote. I'm in that location remote. I think it's cool. I like his flows. I like the beats on this. A lot of these songs have like that 70s soulful samples to it, and it makes for a beautiful, beautiful album. Number 3, New Things. Love that sample, and the drums on it I think are perfect. Number 2, No Window Tints. I love, and really that's why I brought this album up was because of that song. I was just listening to it over and over again anytime I could. And my favorite track, Willie Lloyd. You haven't heard this album. You don't like this album if you don't like Willie Lloyd. That song's a banger.
Hell yeah. Awesome. I'll go honorable mention for me, Tapatio. Just, hey, it's one of my favorite hot sauces, and that album is as
Yeah.
hot as the sauce, baby. Number 3, Willie Lloyd. I mean, Jake just gave that one a lot of praise, and I echo every sentiment he just said. Number 2, we talked about it, The Blow. I mean, come on. And the number 1, I mentioned it a shit ton when I first started talking about it. Now and later, Gators, that you know it's all right, babe. And to have that the vocal sample on that is so nuts, and Alchemist is a sick son of a bitch to have that vocal sample and then that sexy piano and that
Mhm.
sexy guitar as well. It's like, hey, calm the fuck down, okay? You don't need to make the best beat of all time, but you basically did. Like, as a whole, dude, I listened to that song like 4 times this morning. I was like, just yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. So yeah, Now and Later Gators is my favorite.
Yeah, he had some great samples throughout this whole album. Really well done. I love them all. Honorable mention for me kind of leads into my three with the start of the album, going with Blow and New Things, kind of hand in hand there. Both great tracks, kind of got me going into this album. Number 2, title alone, just as fun. Now and Later Gators. Love that song. And then, like you said, Jake, Willie Lloyd's the track on this album. And if you don't like this album, you don't like this song, then go away. Come back another day. But great pick, man. Really like this.
Hell yes. Hell of a pick, Jake. And that pick that my man brought up was 2018's Fetti by Freddie Gibbs Currency and Alchemist. And if the title and the artist on it aren't enough to make you listen to it, then I guess you don't have eyes. But that is his pick for episode 101 of What You Spinnin'. We'll be right back to put a big fat bow on today's content with my main man Matt's pick. And yeah, so go ahead and stick around. We'll see you in a minute. Bye. Well, y'all, it appears to me that this episode of What You Spin in episode 101 is sponsored by the letter F. Because we talked about Fred again, Freddie Gibbs, and now we get to talk about another artist that we love on this podcast that starts with the letter F with my main man Matt's pick. By the way, that's Matt, that's Jake, I'm Dorian. We're gonna wrap it up with Matt's. It's also an F band. You might have to take a peek at what's behind me to get a hint, but Matt, what you got for me, baby?
It's funny that I didn't even realize that all of our picks began with the letter F for the most part. They're all F related. But I went back to my roots. When I first joined the podcast, I wanted to bring this band up, and I did for my first pick. That album that Dorian has behind him, Repeater, was my first pick when I was on this, when I joined the podcast. And ever since then, it's been a great ride. So thank you both. But my pick for 101, going back to my roots, it's not really considered their first album, but in a sense it is. It's 13 songs by Fugazi, released in 1989. Kind of sits in the middle of a few of their releases. They had Margin Walker that came out first, which had a handful of tracks. And then they released an EP called Three Songs later on that year in 89. and I guess they just combined it into one album. For me, this is like debut Fugazi, songwriting at its, you know, it's just kind of growing into what they would become, but it's got the angst, it's got the guitar riffs, it's got the slowed down songs like Promises at the end. It's got everything that you can like about this band, and I feel like it's a bit underrated. I know a lot of people know this album, but for those that don't, and after they hear it, I feel like they do become a fan of this band. And then at that point, you're able to dive into the rest of their discography, which is amazing, with Repeater in the background there. Great four piece. They all do their thing with Ian and Guy doing the things on the vocals. You got Joe doing the thing on his bass, and then Brendan behind the kit. Man, they're all solid musicians and really creative sound that no one else sounds like Fugazi. You can't really pigeonhole them into any specific genre. And that's what I love about this band. So 13 songs released in 89. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, to before I get into it, just so I'm certain, 13 songs came before Repeater, correct?
Yes.
When was Repeater put out? That was like 90 or something.
But I believe it was 90, 90 or
Yeah.
91.
Yeah. So you listen to 13 songs, we've covered Repeater, Red Medicine, is it Red Medicine? And then In on the Kill Taker.
Mhm.
And all of those, like In on the Kill Takers, like all of these albums are fantastic. Like holy shit. I don't care if you bring up their entire discography, Matt. Please, for the love of God, Fugazi fucking rules. Um, but 13 songs, you listen to it and you're like, oh yeah, this is a Fugazi album. Like it's sounds like everything that we've listened to and not in a bad way. It's got like you're like, oh yeah, this is like Fugazi. Just it's like I don't want to, and I'm trying to figure out a way to express what I'm feeling about this album without sounding like I'm dogging on it. But this is Fugazi at its best, almost. Like Waiting Room, Bulldog Front, all of these songs. And then you look at where it is in their discography and you're like, no way. You're kidding that it's their first album. Because it's like you listen to it and we've talked a lot about debut albums and how they kind of signify what a band or an artist would do later in their career. And this is an example of that in a sense. But I'm also trying to say that it's not. It's like I think that these four guys got together and it was so organic and so pure, and the musicianship and the chemistry was just so there from the fucking jump that of course 13 songs is going to be, in my opinion, in the like I'm having a hard time figuring out if it's my favorite Fugazi album we've talked about or not because of how good it is. And it completely blows my mind that it's the first album that they did together, to be quite honest with you. Like Waiting Room, first of all, fuck them for making that the first song on the album because it's like how the hell am I not supposed to listen to the rest of this? You get that do 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 do. Joe Lally, by the way, on this album, it's his best album. If we're talking about bass playing, it's Joe Lally's best album as far as a bass player goes. But then you get Ian MacKaye and Guy Picciuto. It's kind of like we just talked about with Freddie Gibbs and Currency on that Fetti album, how they have their own kind of songs, but then when they collab together, it's so good. Like on Waiting Room, where it's like, I'll make a big surprise. Ah! Like they just kind of the way that they accent each other is so good. And I'm like, this album is too good for it to be their first. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? I'm like, there's no fucking way. So thank you, Matt, for bringing this up. I think I listened to a couple songs off of it when you first brought up Repeater, almost like over 3 years ago. But yeah, I was coming back to this album hard the past month. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing this up again. I'm a big fan of Fugazi now that we've brought it up. We brought them up a couple of times, and I hadn't heard of this, and I definitely should have. Because yeah, it is. Even though it's like technically like a compilation album of their other projects, it's like their beginning work that they were doing as a band, like their first couple of songs that they were doing, and I think excuse me, I think it perfectly like solidifies that they were gonna make it. Like they were gonna make good albums, they were gonna make good songs. They knew what they were doing. The vocal, I love the vocal difference that we get from the two of them. One of them is a lot more grittier, kind of more like guttural vocals, and the other one is a little bit more clean, a little bit more polished. But I think they go perfectly.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have songs like "And the Same," like you hear that bass line. That bass line is so good on that song. Also songs like "Bad Mouth," love the vocals on there. It's just like, they have really catchy songs. I think not only in how they play, but also how they sound, what they're saying. It's, like whenever I'd hear that song come on and like Bulldog Front, like, I'm just repeating the same phrase that they're saying as they're singing it. So, yeah, it's a great album, definitely. It's also kind of hard if I was to pick an album outside of this or Repeater for me. I think Repeater has more of a sentimental value for me just because it's the first time I had listened to Fugazi, but this is a fantastic album.
Yeah, to piggyback off, I didn't want to interrupt you because I could tell you were on a good streak, and beautifully said, Jake. Uh Ian MacKaye and Guy Picciuto, like they're two to describe their vocal styles to me. Guy Picciuto sounds like 50% of the guys I worked at the junkyard with. Just like that guy Bulldog Fred, like he's kind of got like a junkyard kind of feel to him. And then Ian MacKay's got this like distinguished, he's like a manager of a call center type of vibe. And if you look at him, have you guys looked at pictures of these guys? Like Ian MacKaye looks like he could be like if Matt was an action star, Ian MacKaye would be his stunt double. Like yeah, Ian MacKaye would be the stunt guy for a Matt motion picture. Like it's just and he's wearing like a Jason Mraz fedora and it's like what the
Mhm.
fuck are we like and then you make a song like Bulldog Front or fucking Promises. Uh but yeah, man. I mean, Provision or Provisional, that's a song that would also be on Repeater. I really like this interpretation of it. I think that's one of the stronger guy tracks on this album. But yeah, and then Burning and Burning too, like, that kind of throws you off. You kind of want to I kind of shuffled I spent some time listening to one then the other, kind of bobbing back and forth to kind of decipher the difference and they're both fantastic. And yeah, the fact that I mean, I just cannot get over that this is the first album because it's so fucking good, man. So for sure, thank you. But yeah, I just wanted to make that comparison of like Guy Picciuto's this, Ian MacKaye is this.
That's why I really like this band for those reasons alone, lyrically and what those two vocalists are able to do together, and then the rest of the band on the instruments, and even the guitar playing. I mean, like we've said, the way they create songs and create that soundscape of what they are trying to get across, and the songwriting alone, like on Bulldog Front, it's time to harvest the crust from your eyes. Just random lyrics like that just kind of work, but everything's catchy and it all kind of blends together and they're all at their peak. I think just starting out, it showcases what these guys were going to do as they moved on. But like you said, Dorian, Joe's bass playing is top notch. The drumming behind this and songs like Burning, where it's that like it's almost got that metal feel. It's like dun 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 dun. It's like that. I don't know that hard hit, and it feels so well with Fugazi doing their thing. And for me, this is kind of like what got me into this band when I was in high school, and this is where it started for me. It's my roots with Waiting Room and songs like that, and Promises, and just being stoned and hanging out with friends, and you know, great memories here all around. So this is one of those albums that's in my heart. Be like a desert island selection if I had one. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Their catalog is vast. If we had to bring up another album, it'd be Steady Diet of Nothing, but we'll probably end it with this one because I think this is a good one to end it on. And just a great four piece. I'm glad that we were able to bring him up on the podcast and definitely talk about this album because it's one of my favorites for what it is and what it showcases for these guys.
Nice.
Fuck yeah,
You
man.
want to figure it out. Yeah, all throughout this album, fantastic lyrics, fantastic playing, fantastic fusion that they have. I like they all just meld into one person and they're all doing the same thing. Like it's crazy. And then yeah, you have songs like Promises that just completely different track. Different throughout the other albums too that we've covered, they have very different, kind of similar going back. Like I feel like they still come back to this sound a lot in their other albums. Specifically In on the Kill Taker and Red Medicine, they had each their own different albums to their own different extent, but like certain songs, they still kind of had this sound. They have this sound of they're originating. Like this is Fugazi, that's what their sound is. That's what they're known for. And this album, I think, perfectly sums it up. Either this or Repeater, they kind of have the same. It sounded like they were doing the same thing, but yeah, it's for being a debut album compilation, whatever you want to call it. It's really good, really polished, and I think it definitely set up what the band was and ultimately what their sound is.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I think you guys just put a hell of a bow on this album. I think I'm ready. I'm ready for some top threes based off of that. I don't think I could top those beautiful proses y'all just spun. So, Matt, why don't you go ahead and hit me?
Let's do it. 13 songs, Fugazi, one of my favorites. It was a tough one for me to pick top threes. I've heard these songs 1,000 times throughout my life. Like I said, I've been listening to this album since high school, and I'm 1,000 years old now. So, starting off with honorable mention, I got two honorable mentions. I'm gonna go with "Give Me the Cure." We didn't really talk about that song. That's a little bit more accessible and open. Got that punk rock feel. And then "Burning." I think that song has a different vibe for Fugazi, a little bit darker, not in a bad way, just a little bit more metal. Number three, Provisional, because we see that song come back full circle again. Number two, I like Bulldog Front, just kind of a cool way to continue with the opening of the album, kind of setting the stage for what the whole thing is going to sound like. And then my favorite song, just lyrically and musically, I think it shapes everything that this album has was And the Same. That's my top one.
Mm, fuck yeah. Based off of your top song, I'll go ahead and parlay into that. My honorable mention is "And the Same." Matt, you that text that you sent, quoting that opening line is just top notch. But then also I love the way Ian MacKaye sings that song, right? Because he's like, "This is a bullet." Like I love that kind of where he kind of changes the key with his voice. It's and it's that little small thing that's just a complete brain scratch for me. Number three for me is Bulldog Front. I love Guy Pecuto on that song. And it's a grimy one. But also, Matt, you meant, sorry, I just thought of this. You mentioned Gimme the Cure. That is such a Guy Pecuto song. Like, I just imagine being like, "Give me the
Give me the
pill."
shot. Yeah.
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 Love that song too. It did not make my honorable mentions, obviously, but number three, Bulldog Front. Number two, Waiting Room. I don't think there is an album that comes close to being as good an opener as that one on this album, and that's saying something because all of these are incredible. And the number one for me was Burning 2. Really liked that one. That was really nice. I think the musical aspect of that one was really cool for me. So Burning 2, my favorite off of this.
Nice.
Nice. We're gonna have similar songs here. For me, honorable mention, Suggestion. Like that song, kind of is hidden in the middle of the album, but it's a good one. Number three, Bulldog Front. Number two for me was Badmouth. And then my favorite track was also And the Same. I just really like that intro. You just hear the bass line come in and it's smooth. It's good.
Why can't I walk down the street? There's so many anthems on this album, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. One of my favorites by this band, and glad we got to round out their catalog with this one. So there
Hell
you
yeah. Matt, I will say I am more than happy to talk about Fugazi again, just because you have covered there's two you keep every time that or not, and this isn't a dog. I'm not trying to dog on you.
go.
You mention the album titles every once in a while, and they're so intriguing to me. And so we talked about In on the Kill Taker, and I was like, "Yep, lives up to the album name," because there was some lead up to that. But what was the other one? Steady Diet of Nothing.
Yeah, that's the other
I need you to bring it up. I need it. I need it.
one.
I love it. Their fucking album titles are so good, dude.
Yeah,
Like fucking In on the Kill Taker, like what the fuck does that mean? But then
right.
also Steady Diet of Nothing. Whew!
There's a song on that album called Reclamations. And it always makes me think of work. I was like, Reclamations. Yeah. So
Oh, oh.
anytime I hear it, yeah. Random.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
don't be shy if you
I
get the
won't.
if you get the little wiggle worm to bring up Steady Diet of Nothing, I'd be more than happy to listen to that.
Cool.
But anyway, that album was 13 songs, the debut from Fugazi, released in 1989. That was Matt's pick for this episode 101 of What You Spinnin', which, folks, wraps up today's content for this wonderful episode. I'm Dorian, that's Matt, and that's Jake. We'll be right back to let you know what's coming for the next episode. Go ahead and stick around for me. I think you're going to like it.
Stick around.
It's about time to really cap this baby off and bring up what's coming up on episode 102 of What You Spinnin'. We just had a fantastic episode 101. I really think we knocked it out of the park. Uh, it was brought to you by the letter F, and I think Fred, Fugazi, and Freddie really knocked it out of the park. We didn't even talk about that it's Fred and Freddie, and then their cohorts. Uh, but fantastic episode. Totally understand if you just skip to this part to see what we're coming up with next. We go in the order that we talked about, and if my last pick wasn't hard enough to swallow for you guys, um, I've got one that is probably going to be harder to get used
What?
to. But this is really I don't know how to I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. I understand that this album is going to be polarizing, and I fully understand if you guys don't like it. I am personally a huge fan of this.
I already hate it.
This
I already hate it. Yeah, I already hate it. Yeah.
I'm sure this is like really crazy rap music. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about with this album, though. This album came out in 2012. It's the debut from Death Grips, The Money Store. Fun stuff.
Nice.
I'm excited. I've been getting really into this album. I'm honestly surprised that this album didn't like something off of this album didn't creep up into my Spotify Wrapped somehow because I listened to it a lot during the spring and summer. So, 2012's The Money Store by Death Grips.
Wow. I'm actually interested in that because I have heard a couple of songs off the album. I haven't heard the whole thing, so I'm interested.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
that being said, I don't like it. For me, however, I've brought up this artist a couple of times. I've had this album for a while, and it's definitely been on rotation. It's a compilation album, two artists. It's called Cuba Africa, but it is Manu Dibango and Cuarteto Patria. Um, Manu Dibango, he's a sax player, and then it's like with the band, basically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Inject that into my fucking forehead, dude. I'm so down. Because I think you played Mono de Mongo when we went to dinner. Like you played it in the car.
Mm.
That shit ripped.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Matt, what you got for me, baby?
I'm going back in time to 1970. We brought up a few artists from back in the 70s and 60s, like Floyd and Zeppelin, and I think it's about time we talk about Jim Morrison and the Doors. So I'm going to bring up a longer album. It's a live album. It's called Absolutely Live from 1970. I feel like that showcases the band doing their thing live. Uh, yeah, and it's Jim Morrison. Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy.
Jim fucking Morrison told me, man. Is that the line? That's the line, right?
Yeah, yep.
Fuck yeah. I was thinking about the Doors the other week, so I didn't listen. I was just like randomly I was like, I'll listen to the Doors in a while. So thank you. I love the Doors. That'll be fun as hell to talk about. We've got Absolutely Live by the Doors, Cuba Africa by Mono de Bongo and Some other guy. I can do Mono the Bongo, but I'm not going to try to do that off here for the first time. And then The Money Store by Death Grips. Sorry, I figured I'd put you guys to sleep. It's time to wake y'all asses up with some Death Grips. Fully anticipating that to be polarizing, but those two albums sound like they're heaters, which is all that we talk about here on What You Spinnin'. It's bangers only. We thank you for joining us this week for episode 101. Thank you for sitting through a long episode of episode 100. I had such a goddamn blast doing that. I had such a blast doing this episode, as I always do. Matt and Jake, thank you guys for joining me as always. Super stoked to listen to these. People at home, go ahead and tell everybody you know about our podcast. We are literally everywhere. We're, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. I think those are the only three that matter. But if you're a crazy nerd and you use mom and pop's podcast streaming services, you can find us there. Follow us on Instagram at What You Spinnin', posting stuff there occasionally. Go ahead and follow me at Dorian Daily, constantly posting music stuff. Um, I mean, this album will come out, or this podcast will come out on Monday, so I can't promote the Truffle Jam show I'm going to tonight. But Truffle Jam at Truffle Jam at Beer Garden tonight. Hope to see you there. Anyway, but yeah, anyway, I'm Matt, or I'm I'm
No,
Matt.
I'm Matt.
I'm
Wait a
Matt.
minute.
That's
Wait a
Dorian. That's
minute.
Jake.
Just
I'm
listen to
Dorian.
the
That's
cast,
Matt.
man.
That's Jake. This is What You Spinning, and this has been episode 101. We'll see you in a couple weeks for episode 102. You guys stay healthy, stay hydrated, and stay warm. It's getting cold out there. We'll see you in a bit.